The Houston Texans, my favorite franchise. It's a tale of suffering, if you will, just being a fan of this team. But I feel like we've reached a point as being fans that we can begin to say that we have hope. It's been a long time since we could say that. Place and welcome to my brand new series called Fourth Down. It's where I'll be reviewing all of the Houston Texans games throughout this season, before and after, giving my thoughts. And it's a little bit of a vlog slash, I guess, podcast, if you will. Oh my god, I can't believe I said that. Where I'll look at, certain matchups or certain plays, critical plays in the game, where I'll break down like what exactly transpired to allow this to happen, or why it didn't work, or what they were trying to go into. So I'm looking forward to this. So if you don't know, judging by my channel, I love football. Like, I am very in depth with it. As far as like from the organization top all the way down to the people that clean the shoes, that make sure that everything, the travel arrangements, all that type of stuff. Just I have watched this franchise since I watched the Titans leave. Well, it's just called the Oilers leave. Since then, to get us a team, this has been my team. I've lived in many different cities across this country, but the Texans is what I call my home team. And I gotta say, it's been a roller coaster ride, full of emotions, and I wouldn't have it any other way. Reason why is because we finally, this is it for the Bill O'Brien era. Whether he succeeds or whether he fails, it all rests on him. And that's what I've been waiting for the past 3 years. So thank you, Cal McNair, for finally making that a reality. But with that being said, it is the first week for the preseason, and the Houston Texans have traveled all the way to the Wisconsin and taking on the Green Bay Packers with Aaron Rodgers in tow. This is a game where I think we'll learn a lot about the Texans' offensive line, cornerback depth, and last but not least, running backs. Running backs have been a problem with the Houston Texans under Bill O'Brien. Ever since Arian Foster left, they haven't had a real significant game changer at the running back position. And don't get me wrong, Lamar Miller is what you call a service back. He will do no more than what is asked of him. That is, maybe break 10, 15 yards there and block every single play. You throw him a pass, he won't drop it initially unless there's contact. And in the NFL, you can get a roster spot that way. The problem with that, you won't get much more. Deshaun Watson has been beaten more than almost any other quarterback. Dare I say more than Matt Ryan his first couple of years. More than Russell Wilson, which is kind of surprising. But the offensive line and the depth at tight end and just the fact that we had to be under siege for like around maybe 60% of his snaps last year, like, dictated a lot. The Houston Texans offense under Bill O'Brien wasn't able to get going because he had to bring like literally a tight end on each side and a running back, and you only have maybe two receivers going out on routes. That was his offense. And Deshaun Watson, even with that hampering him, even with all of the sacks, the pressures, the hits, he was able to take this team farther than it should have gone. I will say that. But he did have help on the defensive side with J.J. Watt and Clowney finally having a season where they were both healthy, played at a phenomenal pace, I will say, with Merciless as well. And it all came together, and it was a good season last year. But it's kind of tragic how this NFL, the more successful you become, the harder it gets the next following year. Bill O'Brien did something he shouldn't have done, and that was make the playoffs. And I'll say that the last season, it all could have changed if they had beaten Philadelphia at Philadelphia. They had them on the ropes. They just let them go. And they had New England on the ropes, and they let them go. Those two games cost Bill O'Brien. I think they would have. I think they would have gotten to at least the AFC championship game if they had won those two games. Because the way the team chemistry was, the fact that with all those flaws that I've mentioned beforehand on the offensive side, they were comfortable. They could have overcome where they were. They just came up against the one team in this league that knows how to beat the, how can I say, Romeo Cornell defense, which sucks. Which has me kind of scared for this following season. I love Romeo Cornell. I've met him twice. I met him once at a camp where I was trying to learn how to coach. It was called Heads Up. It was down here in the NRG Park. It was awesome. Gotten to learn a lot from the man as far as the what's called the shells and all that type of defensive coverages and why he calls certain things that he wants to call. And his problem is that he is the root. Like for all defensive coordinators in the league, he is the basics of basics. He won't throw anything outside of a cover 3 or man. And when you're going up against elite talent at the quarterback position, that is not acceptable. They will pick it apart inch by inch, yard by yard, until you get down to that red zone, and all it takes is one lucky route, one lucky break of a tackle. And as we know, the Texans don't have very good tackling, which I'm actually looking forward to seeing in this game. Because I want to see if their tackling has gotten any better. You know, with Brian Cushing now being the strength and the conditioning coaches, that man could tackle. He could tackle anybody. With a helmet, without helmet, it didn't matter. That man destroyed Alfred Blue multiple years. He is the reason why Alfred Blue didn't get over 1,000 yards. I'll say that. It was too busy getting beat up by Brian Cushing during practice. But I don't know. It's just Bill O'Brien has all of this pressure on him, and he has finally done something that he hasn't done since I think like 2016, which is actually hire an offensive coordinator. And this is someone that he's brought up through his own coaching system. And the man is Tim Kelly. For those of you that don't know, Tim Kelly likes to run a little bit of a get up audible type of offense. What does that mean? It means as soon as he gets to his offense, he calls one plays, let the quarterback have at least 5 plays he can call, judging by the coverage and what they roll. And then he can pick off what there is. Somewhat similar to what Peyton Manning used to do, but instead of Peyton Manning being the one that dictates it, it's actually Tim Kelly. And the best part about it is that Tim Kelly is a box, coordinator. He doesn't come out on the field. He sits up on the top of the box and he can tell Deshaun Watson via the mic exactly what play to run. And I expect this offense to be at least a top 10. A top 10 offense this year. And I know injuries have played a big factor. Well, will play a big factor into that prediction. But I just have confidence in that. Barring, I don't know, just the worst. I don't want to talk about it. We all know what the worst is. We don't want to talk about the worst. But it's good. So at least I know I'm gonna have offensive production. Now, whether the running back position will show up this year, I doubt it. I honestly do. But we'll get into that in a second. What we're going to do now is talk about the person that's going to allow our players or the Texans players to be on the team. And it's very, weird. This is the first season where the Houston Texans don't have a GM. And they're fine with it. Cal McNair is the top guy. Then you have, Bill O'Brien in the middle. And I think someone named Easterby in the middle. And then underneath them, they have the position coaches. That is the organizational chain right there. So if you're a player, you go to your positional coaches, and the positional coaches go to either Bill O'Brien or Easterby. And if they didn't go to Easterby, they go to another dude, I think it's from the Jets. I cannot remember his name. But then that guy will go to Cal McNair. That is the new organizational chart. It's not no one person anymore where, you had constantly Bill O'Brien and Rick Smith bumping heads, or Bill O'Brien and Rick Gaines not believing in the same thing but still being able to get along. And we all saw how that all happened. And for those of you that don't know, the reason why Mr. Gaines lost his job was because he let Kareem Jackson walk in free agency. Didn't sign the honey bagger. Didn't sign anybody, actually. And left with a whole bunch of money. When Cal McNair said spend that money on the one person that could change this whole franchise, he wanted to get Le'Veon Bell. Or I think it was, no, it wasn't, the dude from the Pittsburgh Steelers. I keep forgetting his name, but that's who he wanted to get. And he thought him and Deshaun Watson paired together was almost an unstoppable, what's it called, offense. And he just didn't do it because he said he wanted to save the money. And that got him fired. So, with that being said, the person that's going to dictate who makes this roster is actually the special teams coordinator, Brad Seeley. For those of you that don't know, Brad Seeley came into this coaching staff and changed the whole dynamic of this team. Whether it be culture or whether teams where Bill O'Brien finally has something called versatility that he always talks about. Because now, if you make this roster, you're expected to play special teams every down. It doesn't matter. You could be a starter. You're going to play special teams. And the fact that Bill O'Brien has that type of philosophy kind of hampers the whole team. But if you're a middle of the road player, like we're going to talk about in the second, this is the man that you need to impress. This is the man you need to be in the back pocket of. This is the man that you have to, I don't know, sleep at night. You wake up in the morning, that's the first person you see, and this is how you make the Houston Texans roster, basically. It's through Mr. Seeley. And his history is that I think he went to Arizona. He coached there for a little bit. Then he came to the NFL. I think he was with the, I want to say Tampa Bay for a bit. And he jumped around from a couple of teams after that. And he finally got a special teams coordinator job here. And he's really, really good at I wouldn't say defining talent, but motivating talent. I could say him and Easterby. Those two people, best motivators I think I've ever heard in my life. Like I heard one of them Easterby speeches a little while ago. I don't know if I'll put a clip up there, but it was passionate. I would run through a wall listening to that. But enough of the rambling about the coaching staff. Well, not really, because we have two new additions that kind of surprised me a little bit. Like I mentioned before, Brian Cushing becoming the strength and conditioning coach after Brian Gaines hired, I think it was Litwell. He did okay. I mean, he didn't have like major horrific injuries or anything like that, and people weren't like, it wasn't like the season before that one where everyone was hurt, but you could do better. And the fact that Bill O'Brien's trying to give previous players that have played for him opportunities like this, that's really good. And Bill O'Brien actually gave Brian Cushing the job as strength and conditioning, and the difference is apparent. I went to the Houston Texans, training camp. I think it was on day 3. We went there. I saw the tight ends. The tight ends are massive. The team looks huge. Like, I mean, I'm kind of chubby and fat. I mean, I'm just a wrestler, but still, like, they are average size is like gotta be like 6'6", across the board, almost every position except for wide receiver, 6'6". Like, it's crazy. But the difference in size and, quite frankly, the difference in speed is lacking. I will say that about this roster. But Brian Cushing's addition has made a difference. Another one that's made a huge difference is the longtime legend Andre Johnson. Him being on the roster, talking to players every single day. He's the quote unquote, hey, follow me, bring your playbook type of guy. If you know what role I'm talking about, that's the role he's playing. And he's being that dark horse, but at the same time, he's motivating every single player he talks to in that locker room. And he's showing that, yeah, hey man, this is a business, but I'm going to show you what I can give, or I can tell you what will help you get to what type of status I was at, He's been through the ringer, he knows exactly what to say, and that's like phenomenal to have on your roster, as for any coach or a player or anything like that. Just to have someone that could say, hey, I've been where you are right now. This ain't the end of the world. And basically, what's it called? You can do this. All you have to do is go talk, and be wherever and point people in the right directions. And that's what you need on a roster. So those two brand new coaching additions are pretty cool. But I'm going to go ahead and talk about the ones that are kind of up for grabs, I will say. There are three positions of weakness, three positions of weakness on the Houston Texans team. It doesn't take a rocket science to figure it out. The first one, obviously, has got to be the offensive line. The worst offensive line in the NFL, bar none, last season. Let's go over the offensive line depth chart. Okay, so here we go. Starting at left tackle, I cannot believe that I'm saying this, is Matt Khalil. Matt Khalil is washed up. He is a turntable on states. I saw that on the second day. I questioned why he was even out there taking poor reps away from the next person, which is Julian Davenport. We invested a couple of draft picks into Davenport. He is a good-ish tackle, but he just honestly doesn't have the, I would say, the agility on the outside. He doesn't have, it's not that he doesn't have a lack of strength, it just doesn't have the agility, and you need that at a tackle. Like, it's not that he's not immobile, it's not like that, it's just that you gotta have a knack to either keep your shoulders square, keep your pad levels low, and get that bucket step, and he does not have that bucket step on any type of pulls, any type of draw plays, nothing like that. Any type of outside blitz from a corner, he will not get there. And that is his Achilles heel, if you will. Next person on there for the left guard position is Clemente and Rankins. Both of them played iffy. I mean, very, very iffy. They aren't good. No, they're just not good. I'm sorry. I can't say anything good about them. The only difference is that Rankin at least has an opportunity to steal Clemente's spot. And, I mean, if he does it, great. If he doesn't, great. Because, I mean, they're both the same player. They both suck at pass protection. Both. I mean, if I stood up right now, that's how high their pad level is every single play. It's ridiculous. Next one we have in the center position, we have Nick Martin and Greg Mancz. Questionable injuries for both of these players. They get banged up almost every single game. I don't like it, and neither do the Texans. That's why they brought in DJ Cooker, who is a rookie player, center. He can play any type of center or guard. He does have pass protection. You don't have to tell him to keep his pad levels low. And at 300 and I think 1 pounds, the dude is kind of hefty. He's not very agile. I've seen them run like a little bit of a, don't want to spoil it, but they ran like a little jailbreak screen with Hopkins during the practice. He got up there. He actually finished with Hopkins in the end zone, so that should tell you he got a little bit of a motor. So I'm praying for the rookie to probably make this squad. Next one that we have for the right guard position is actually Zach Fulton. Zach Fulton is a little bit of an experiment gone wrong. Injuries and a lack of help from the tight end position and Deshaun wanting to step up into the pocket exposed this man in more ways than I don't know. Just he was exposed all last year. He basically stepped on the field, was like, I'm a starter, I got this, and turned his shoulder to the right or to the left, and Deshaun had pressure immediately, and that has got to change. But he doesn't. He has like Rankins and Greg Mancz and Davenports. Everybody's kind of pressuring him, so I hope big things for him, but I just don't see it. Next we have at right tackle Mr. Henderson, Shardell Henderson, big tackle. Big tackle, like I'm talking size. The man is like 6'7", 6'8", like 280 pounds. He is a tackle. He is an NFL elite tackle. He can pass block. He can dang sure run block. His bucket steps are some of the best I've ever seen. I've seen him do like a reach block on a corner who was blitzing from the what's it called? I say like from the 7. and he blew him up. Got him to this to what's it called to Reed, blew him up, came around and then blew up what's it called Bernard McKinney. And I was like, where was this all last year? Well, where it was that he was injured, and I think he'll play a lot better this year than he did last year. So I have hope for him. Um, the next position of weakness, as we talked about before, would have to be the running back position. It is atrocious. It is. There's no name outside of Lamar Miller. You have all this cap space. You can't just go out there and get a back. I don't understand it. Who wouldn't want another back on their roster? Lamar Miller has proven for the past 2 years that he can't do it by himself. You just need to get him another back. And you thought you had that in Foreman, which you did, but Foreman had two problems. Number one, he fumbled the ball actually three. He fumbled the ball in almost every 10 touches he got. He is injury prone. He really is. He's one of them people that are just unlucky at this sport with injuries. And number three, he lost the motivation. Like he couldn't put forth all that effort just to either be injured or just to be yelled at for a coach for making one mistake every single time. Like, I get that. He didn't want to play no more, so it's best to send him somewhere else, which we did, unfortunately. But outside of that, man, we have I want to say we have about like three other running backs that kind of can make this roster. They're going to have to do special teams for sure. That's the only other way they can make it. But you have Buddy Howell, who is a very good back. A lot of coaches on this roster, including Andre Johnson and Bill O'Brien, enjoy this man's work. You got Josh Ferguson. You got Tywayne Jones, who was a special team, was a captain, I believe, of the Bills? I don't remember. I think it's the Bills. Don't quote me on that one. But he's good. He's a serviceable back. He's competing in a job which is like around three other running backs. The other standout name that I was at the training camp and I saw was this dude named Crockett. I don't know where he came from. Apparently he's been here like on the practice squad and stuff like that. I'd never seen him. He does special teams, but he is fast. Little kid got to get up, and I can appreciate that. So, well, the next position that we have that's kind of a question would have to be cornerback. Cornerback is scary. All we have in the cornerback position is the legend now. He is now officially a legend. He may get into Canton. I pray he does if he has a good season this year. Jonathan Joseph. Oh my goodness. I can't believe I'm saying this now, but Jonathan Joseph is the only good corner that we have. Braylon Roby had a disappointing year last year. He's going to go down as a bust from free agency. Next corner that we actually have that's somewhat good is I want to say Mr. Kelly Jr. He is a standout. He's going to try to make this roster. Believe me, they may let him be on this roster if he plays well on special teams. And he's going to have that it factor that we desperately need at the cornerback position. He's long, lengthy, fast. And I just want to see if he can catch the ball. He showed it at the training camp. I just want him to know that he got someone rooting for him, all right? I know it may not just be me because I know Justin Reed really dotes on him too, and Moore does as well. But like that's the guy I think that's gonna be either starting week 5, week 6, but he's gonna be a staple on this team. But those are pretty much the weaknesses on the Texans that I want to see coming into this game. Right now, I'm kind of predicting the Green Bay Packers to go no more than 7 wins this year. And I know I sound like I'm being harsh, but they have one of the toughest divisions outside the AFC South. And I just don't see them getting it done. As far as the Houston Texans, barring injuries, I have to state that, okay? I honestly believe that we're going to go 5-11. As this moment goes, that is the record I believe we're going to go. I believe we're going to miss the playoffs. But, yeah, I know. It's kind of sad for me to say that at the beginning. I'm so cheerful, but that's the way I feel right now. I want to be wrong. I really do, but it's okay. But if you enjoyed this little chat and you want to see more, go ahead, hit that subscribe button. Follow me on Instagram or Twitter. Links will be down on the description down below. Also, I'm going to start trying to do a recap of the games, probably on Sunday or Monday, whenever it comes out. Either way, it's been the King of Let's Plays, and I'll see you next time.